She was always off her phone when we were together. I thought it was sweet. Then I found out she had a second phone for emergencies. The only emergency was me walking away after leaving it charging with a screenshot displayed. I met Sarah in a small cafe called Grindstone in Asheville, North Carolina. It was October, the leaves were 1,000 shades of red and orange, and she looked like she walked right out of an art museum, vintage coat, messy bun, no phone in sight. Just a woman, her tea, and a thick paperback. I was fresh off a nasty divorce. 10 years of marriage, gone. My ex-wife and I fell apart slowly. The usual story, distance, resentment, cheating, not on my part. So when Sarah and I started talking, it felt like the universe threw me a bone. We talked for hours. I left with her number and a lightness I hadn't felt in years. What really caught my attention was how Sarah was never on her phone when we were together. She even joked once, real moments matter more than screen time. I admired that. Everyone else I knew was glued to their devices, even during dates. Not her. She told me she was a freelance consultant for nonprofit organizations, often working odd hours and needing to be on call. She kept a second phone, a cheap burner, for work emergencies. Totally reasonable, right? Looking back, that's when the cracks started. 6 months in, I noticed odd patterns. She'd disappear into the bathroom for 20 minutes to reply to an urgent work email. Sometimes she'd come back flustered or strangely giddy. The second phone buzzed constantly, but she always flipped it face down without looking. One night, I got curious. While she was asleep, I glanced at the burner. Locked? I didn't push it. I was trying to be better, not the suspicious, bitter man my ex-wife turned me into. But something gnawed at me. Every single day. One Thursday evening, she came over to cook dinner. Left both phones charging in the kitchen, a rare moment. I saw my chance. I didn't snoop. I just waited. When she stepped into the shower, I took the burner and opened it. She'd used the same 4-digit code she used on her laptop, old habit. I was stunned. Texts, dozens of them. Pictures, video clips, voice messages. From Mark, a realtor from Greenville, South Carolina. Handsome, mid-40s. Divorced with a kid. Apparently, they'd been seeing each other longer than she'd been with me. My hands were shaking. Instead of confronting her, I left the phone charging, but with a juicy screenshot displayed, her in lingerie, saying, "You make me feel more alive than anyone ever has." I waited on the porch. When she came out, she froze at the sight. "You went through my phone," she said. "All I did was see what you left in plain sight." She cried. She lied. She confessed. I left. But that's not the end. After a week of no contact, I found out through a mutual friend that Sarah wasn't just dating me and Mark. She had 3 other guys, one in Charlotte, another in Charleston, and a guy in Atlanta, all thinking they were the one. So I got creative. I made a fake Gmail, posed as Sarah, and started messaging all of them, pretending to be her. I confessed to each guy about the others. I even included screenshots. I also left a review bomb on her freelance page. Nothing fake, just the truth. Soon, her gigs dried up. Her website went offline. Her Instagram went silent. But the best part? Mark called me. He was fuming. We met for coffee in Asheville. Turned out, he was considering proposing. He even showed me the ring. He gave it back to the jeweler. 3 months later, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Jake, her ex-fiancé. Yeah, ex-fiancé. The man she left a year before she met me. He said she ghosted him, just up and vanished. One day, she was gone with half his savings, jewelry, and even a dog. I thought I was her rebound. Turns out, everyone was a rebound. I thought that was the end of her. Until I saw her again. This was almost a year later. I had moved to Durham, North Carolina, took a job at a veterans outreach center. Life was peaceful. Then boom, she walked into a diner I was at, holding hands with a new guy. She didn't recognize me right away. But when she did, her face turned the color of ash. I just smiled. She mouthed something. I ignored her and waved at her new guy. After they left, I walked over to their table. She'd forgotten her phone. Guess what? Same burner. Still same code. I didn't take it. I didn't need to. I just forwarded a few spicy messages to myself, just in case. Here's what I learned. Revenge isn't always about fire and fury. Sometimes it's just walking away with the receipts and knowing you dodged a life of lies. Sarah tried texting me again. I blocked her, but I kept the screenshots. For emergencies. After that last diner run-in, I thought that was it. I figured she'd move on, con someone else, rinse and repeat. But you know how life has a funny way of not letting things go quietly? About 6 months later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a wedding invite. Sarah was getting married. To Jake. Yep, the guy she ghosted before me. Now I know what you're thinking. Why would he be marrying her? Because apparently, she convinced him she was going through a mental health spiral, and that leaving was the best way to protect him. Said she was sick and needed to heal. And guess what? She told him I was the abusive ex who ruined her trust. My blood boiled. I could have tossed that invite, but I didn't. Instead, I pulled out the folder. Yes, I had a folder. Labeled Hurricane Sarah. Screenshots, pictures, conversations, videos, every shady message she ever sent, all from her own phone. I even had screen recordings of our conversations and her voice messages, evidence of her gaslighting, her lies, the other men, and the overlapping timelines. Now, I didn't want to hurt Jake, but he deserved the truth. Everyone did. So I printed it all, made a little flash drive too, labeled it, Before You Say I Do. Then I drove all the way to Charleston, South Carolina, wedding location. The wedding was set in a fancy historical in downtown. Ivy-covered walls, soft jazz music. Everyone dressed like they were in a southern fairy tale. I didn't sneak in. I just walked in. No one questioned me. I waited until right before the ceremony. Everyone was seated. Sarah was in the back, in a white lace dress, smiling like she'd won the world. I walked straight to the groom. He looked confused. Who? I'm the man she dated while she was ghosting you, I said quietly. And I'm not here to ruin your day. Just here to give you something. I handed him the folder and the flash drive. Read it. It's everything. No lies. Do whatever you want. He looked at it, then at her. And just like that, everything exploded. Jake didn't even say a word to her. He handed the folder to the officiant and walked out. No yelling. No storming. Just walked. Sarah followed him out screaming. He didn't stop. People whispered. Her mom fainted. Her bridesmaid, I think it was her sister, slapped her. I didn't stay. I got in my car and drove away while the chaos erupted behind me. A few days later, a friend texted me a link. It was a Reddit post. Left my wedding because my fiancé was living a double life with receipts. It went viral. Jake exposed everything. With screenshots. Even linked to a private YouTube upload of a voice message where she admitted cheating. People lost their minds. Internet sleuths found out about her other relationships. Guys started coming forward. She lost all her freelance gigs. Her reputation completely burned down. Last I heard, she moved to a tiny town in Mississippi to live with her aunt. No phone. No internet. Gone. I won't sit here and act like I was the hero. I stayed with her when the signs were there. I wanted to believe too badly. I ignored my gut, and I became obsessed with revenge. I let her turn me into someone bitter, someone who couldn't trust. I burned her life down, but I burned part of myself too. About a year later, I started dating someone new. Ellie. Sweet, down-to-earth, no games. I told her everything from the start. She listened. She didn't judge. One day, we were at a bookstore in Asheville. She held up a paperback. Hey, you ever read this? It was the same book Sarah was reading the day we met at that cafe. I laughed, told her the story. Then Ellie smiled and said something I'll never forget. Well, if you met her reading this, and it ended like that, maybe you should let me pick the next book. We both laughed. And for the first time in years, it felt real. No second phones. No burner lies. No screenshots waiting to explode. Just honesty. And quiet peace.